everybody. You are here. If you are here, you are here for our very first inaugural debate night. It is debate night. It is the most important debate going on right now in the world, and that's the Sense8 debate going on right here on our That's Normal channel. Hello and welcome.
Hey.
I am Beth, and we're here to talk about the wonderful show on Netflix, Sense8, and we're very excited to talk about it. Every Thursday in August, which is the 8th month, which is just totally why we are doing this right now. We're going to talk about two of our favorite sensates from this show and just kind of like talk about some of the issues and just some of the awesomeness that's this show. We have some of our lovely writers and friends joining us tonight. I'm having a glass of something that my husband opened that I got from my wine club. It's really yummy. And we're going to start out tonight also telling you who our favorite sensate is. And my favorite sensate is Will. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
The Chicago cop? He's my favorite.
Yes.
All right.
I like how there was a look of surprise on everyone's face when you said that.
He really is my favorite. Okay, Kyle, you go.
All right. My name is Kyle. I am drinking 2 Buck Chuck White Zinfandel that I literally just bought. And it's from a Mickey Mouse mug because, I mean, it's so appropriate because, you know, that reason. For those who don't know, I hang out with Mickey Mouse in the parks. So, anyway, just to make that less cryptic, I wanted to say that. But my favorite Sense8 is, I can't decide between Lido or Nomi. It's one of the two. I think maybe Leto, for sure.
Yeah, he's close. He's a close runner-up. All right, one of our newcomers tonight, who I didn't tell about the toolbox thing because mine isn't working, so I figured it didn't matter. But our very first Hangout virgin is Lindsay. She's at Breathe Read Love on Twitter, and we love her, and she's here. Say hi, Lindsay.
Hi, guys. I am super excited to be here, super nervous. But I am drinking Moscato, which is basically like Sprite, and it's fucking delicious. So cheers. And my favorite sensate, since I can't pick Hernando, is probably Sun. I just think she is the baddest bitch that ever walked, and I love every scene she's in.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I like Sun too. That's interesting though that she's your favorite. It is sad that you can't pick Hernando. It's really sad.
Pretty sad, yeah.
All right, Katie, say hi.
Hi. I'm going to have to call my husband because I'm actually almost out of wine right now, so I'm going to get a delivery, but it's just a Cabernet. Hands down, my favorite sensei is Lido. I adore him. His smile is radiant, and his grief is so palpable, and he loves Hernando, who is the best. So he's it for me. And as my tag says, I'm not watching GIFs of Lido and Hernando making out, but that might be a lie because I actually have a tab with that. So I might be. I might not. You'll never know.
I can't keep tabs of GIFs open at the same time that I have like a Hangout running. My computer would just be like,
Die.
All right, Julie, say hi.
Hi, I'm Julie. I write for That's Normal. Probably is kind of shoddy right now, but whatever. But I guess my favorite is also Lido because he does make out and bump uglies with Hernando in a bathroom stall.
I resent bump uglies because they're beautiful. All right.
I call everything bump and uglies because it's wonderful.
And because boys don't bump uglies, really, right?
Well, I like to think they
In
did.
sword fights.
They did. Well, they had a sword fight at some point, so I'm thinking, let me have my moment. Anyway, so...
You ladies don't know how gay sex works.
I do, but we were joking. It's just kind of like how, like,
Okay.
you know, people think scissoring is all that
some people do.
Yes.
Anyway,
Okay.
go ahead.
All
Sorry.
right, got it.
I digress.
All right, Jamie, you say hi then.
Oh, sorry guys. I was like totally taking over for Julie. Sorry. Okay. I apologize.
No,
Hi everyone. I'm Jamie from That's Normal, the City Girl on Twitter. I am really excited that we're talking about Sense8. I discovered it, I guess, the day it came out because I think that I don't know, it suggested it to me and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And then I fell in love with Brian, who plays Will. And little hearts came out of my eyes and my heart was aflutter. And then I tweeted him and he tweeted me back and I was like, ah! So yeah, hi Brian. So yeah, guys, tweet him because
What's his Twitter handle? Uh-oh, did she just freeze?
Jay Smith. I've been tweeting at him from my account and That's Normal's account. He apparently doesn't have enough Twitter followers yet where he knows like not to respond to everybody, so he pretty much responds to everybody, especially if you flatter him. And he also was like nominated for a Tony Award. It's pretty fantastic.
What's his Twitter handle?
Brian Jacob Smith. At Brian Jacob Smith.
Sorry.
All right.
Was he on Home Improvement in the 90s? Why does he have 3 names?
I'm sure it's one of those things that, like, when he got his equity, or not equity, whatever it is, SAG card, somebody had his, just Brian Smith, so that's usually how that works, FYI. But besides me having, like, a deep attraction to him, I also really like the Indian version of Jessica Simpson. She's so beautiful. And I just kept thinking, I'm like, she looks so much like Jessica Simpson, but she's Indian and exotic and gorgeous. And I was just really taken by her. So I realized that mine are kind of superficial, but, you know, that's what it is.
I think it's interesting that you think that you like Brian, or like Will, because we're going to talk about him not this week, several weeks from now, but he's very much your type. He's not my type, but I just like him as a personality figure. Like
He's so my type. Oh my god. Oh.
Not my type at all. Leto is more my type.
Nope.
Yeah.
Leto's gorgeous though. I will give you that.
He is gorgeous. I mean, not like the fancy pants that he wears. But anyway, we have to get to talking about Capheus and Sun. That's what we're talking about tonight. We're starting with those two. And I would just like to start out with, this show is pretty much, you know, it's got such an interesting, unique premise with, you know, these people that are mind melding, and I love the diversity of the show. There's so much to talk about. There's also a ton of sex in this show, and yet Capheus and Sun are getting nothing. They don't even get a cameo in the orgy scene. So let's discuss their chastity a little bit. Do we think that they are...
To be fair, Capheus was getting some on his own.
Yeah, was
in
he...
the bus.
Did he touched himself to Van Damme?
Yeah, he did.
I was like, did that happen? Is that what he does?
He when they were all having that orgy, which we'll talk about that at some point. He was watching a Van Damme movie, and then all of a sudden you saw him look down, and he's like, is it? Van Damme can do this to me, but apparently he can.
So was he surprised by the chub that Van Damme gave him, or was that like that's his thing? That's what he likes.
I have to think that they all felt that, and that was I don't know if they just like, how do we work in another 2 people into this big orgy? But if they're all feeling each other's motions, I have to imagine that.
I really want to know at whose place this orgy took place, because you know how like they always like appear in whoever's like environment that they're visiting or seeing. So I just want to know whose apartment the sex took place at, because I'm like, okay, now there are 8 people in my bedroom. I don't know if they're all gonna fit in my bed.
Well, it seems like some of them experienced it in more than one place. Like Leto,
yeah, that's true.
Been he was in Will's gym, and he was in the pool, and he was with Hernando. So.
And he was with Amanita too.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw an interview that Miguel did about that scene, and he said it was the first scene he had to shoot for the show. And he showed up to his trailer, and there was only a sock as his costume.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was like, "Is this it? Is this it?"
That's amazing. I love that that's the first scene that they shot. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Also,
And the
that reminds me of that. Go ahead, Lindsay.
I was just going to say, the chemistry between him and Hernando in that scene, for that to be the first scene where they're like, oh.
We can't talk about them yet. Okay.
I know, I'm sorry.
That does remind me of that time.
Coming to my mind.
It reminds me of that time that Jared Padalecki from Supernatural was talking about his cock sock and how that was one of his favorite costumes for when he was in House of Wax. And the cute little fan who had stood up and asked him a question at this con saying, "What's the worst costume you ever had to wear?" And he said, "It rhymes, and it's called a sock." And she said, totally boner face, like straight as you can, just said, "They make those in your size?" And he just like freaked out, dropped the mic, and came and gave her the biggest hug. It's the best fan moment ever. No one's ever gonna top it, ever. It was great. So if you get to go to a con and Miguel is there and he tells the cock sock story again, you got to be ready, Lindsay, with the "They make those in your size?" It's gold every time.
I'm on it.
And he'll never know that you stole it from that other Supernatural fan. He'll never know.
I'm ready for that moment. I'm ready for it.
So Capheus is not Van Damme sexual.
Well, the cool thing is that I read somewhere, and I don't know where I read this, but that all of the sensates are pansexual.
Huh.
So that is awesome. That's really cool. I think I don't know. It's just really awesome.
Well, when Will and Leto meet in the last episode, and Will's like, "Do we know each other?" And Leto's like, "Yeah, we had sex." He's like, "Oh, I'm really uncomfortable, like homophobic about it."
Well, like Will's like, it was like, okay.
I think it's one of those things that if this didn't happen to them, not all of them probably would be pansexual, but because of the connection, like I think it just opens your mind to other possibilities so that it just, I mean, if you're all of a sudden feeling pleasure and it's between two, if you're a guy and it's coming from another guy, I mean, I guess they're just going to be like, ride it out.
And I think that's one of the things that I really like about the show is that, we're so about boxes, you're gay, you're straight, you're liberal, you're conservative, you're male, you're female, and this show really explores how we all exist on a spectrum of that, of gender, of beliefs, of faith, of sexuality, and it's just such an exciting concept to be explored, in a TV format, and just I feel like they've done like a really fantastic job with it, so far.
Yeah, I agree with that, Katie, because I also thought too it was like breaking down stereotypes and in the box, but it's also in that notion of breaking down the stereotype. Look at Sun herself, like she's this quiet Korean woman, very reserved, and then at night, I mean, she's a fight character, somehow breaks down some type of stereotype, some type of, you're right, they don't fit into a box. It's nothing is you are this and that is only who you are. So I think that's perfect. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting for Capheus, like, to compare the two of them in their situations where they both lost a parent, and their situations with the remaining parent is so different. And while I like, how do you say his name? Capheus?
Capheus, yeah.
Capheus. While his like living situation, I mean, obviously he's living in poverty and he's struggling to get by. He's such a joyful, happy person, and it doesn't seem like he lets things get him down, and he has a lot of love for his mom, and and she has it for him. So it seems like that's affected him in such a positive way, even though the circumstances of where they live is terrible, as opposed to Sun, where she's in, she's really well off, but she doesn't have that love from her father, and then that's put her in a really dark place. So it's like they're kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. And both still in like dangerous situations, both still not knowing the path that their life needs to take, despite the fact that she's kind of got it all together and had this glorious like run of being super type A and getting things done and being being the CFO or whatever of this company. But and he's just trying to make ends meet to keep his mother alive. I loved their meeting across the. They were both walking down their respective roads, and seeing each other. That was one of my favorite.
Yeah.
You loop?
And their connection. Yeah, I like their connection together. So I think it's powerful, especially the fact that they're both choices to make, where Van Damme is doing, I call him Van Damme, because I always think of him. Everyone called him that.
Yep.
Van
It's
Damme.
probably better that we call him that, because no one knows how to pronounce his name, or I don't.
I didn't even know his name was Capheus until I read a bio afterwards. I was like, oh okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I did like how they both had these choices to make, and she made this choice, and now she's in prison. Spoiler alert! But you should really watch this if you're watching.
I mean, if you're at the Sensate debate, we assume that you've seen this whole.
Exactly. I don't want someone tweeting me going, "No, you bitch."
Well, I'll just tweet you that anyway.
Spoiler alert.
I love you.
I just finished this season today.
Oh, you did?
I lived through Hernando and Lito's breakup this afternoon.
Oh.
It was really hard. It was really tough. But anyway, I got over it because happy times were later. So, but yes, I binged the rest of it. I had like 5 episodes I did today.
Wow.
Am I echoing?
Yeah.
Someone's hardcore.
Yeah.
Hold on, y'all keep talking.
Okay. I think
Someone put their stuff on mute. That should help.
the coolest thing I think was just Sun's decision. Sun's decision. I can't talk. Her decision
There
to
it
go
is.
to prison and cover for her brother. I think
Yes.
that came out of nowhere because I think I was totally expecting her to say no. And it really enraged me, the fact that she was like, all right, I'll do it. And I don't understand. I still, to this day, I don't understand why she did it. Like, the only thing that made her do it was her mother killing her to protect her brother. And I don't think that's strong enough, in my opinion.
Real quick, it's because of the echo. If you're not talking, please mute your microphone. Sorry for the aside. I think she did it really for her father, because if her brother was implemented, or if he was accused, it would have looked poorly on the father, and I think they would have lost the company, or it just would have, he would have been ousted. But because she was a daughter and nobody really knew about her, and he never talked about her, that she was able to take the blame without the family really going down for it. So she sacrificed herself for her dad. Like, I think it was for her dad more than her brother, because she wanted her father's love, right?
I also think that, like, Sun, she's this martial artist. She has this sense of honor, right? Like, she knows the right thing to do. She knows she's the only person in her family who's going to do the right thing. She knows her father isn't going to do it. She knows her brother isn't going to do it. And so she just does it because she knows she's strong enough. I don't know. I just love Sun. I think she just does what needs to be done. She's just like one of those people.
Yeah, but is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing for her to be like, I'm going to take this fall for my brother. He's going to continue to screw up and ruin people's lives. And he deserves to be in jail. Like,
Yeah.
her choice is the wrong move on all fronts. I think it's ethically wrong. It's morally wrong.
I agree completely. I think it was the worst decision she has made because it affects her now. Like, she has to go to prison for something she doesn't do, and then her brother is going to be able to continue doing these horrible things. And I also think in the end, okay, this is going to sound really harsh, but in the end, her father's death kind of lays on her, because I feel like if she didn't go to jail and she had him take care of it from the forefront, I think her father would still be alive and her brother wouldn't have killed him. I think he wouldn't have had a chance to kill him. You know?
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah.
And I think the interesting thing looking at between Capheus and Sun is that, you know, they're both forced to make these really difficult choices about family, but the quality of family is so different. And I think that that's explored through, you know, the different sensates, you know, Will's relationship to his father versus, say, you know, Wolfgang's relationship with his father, and this the idea of like the family you get versus the family you choose. And I think you're right. I mean, I think the decision that was really right for Van Damme is really wrong for Sun, just because the quality of family that she is operating in is so phenomenally different.
I guess the other thing too is that Capheus's mother never would have asked Capheus to do something like this, whereas Sun's family is like, yeah, you go ahead and take the fall for us.
Well, in fact, his mother even says to him, like, it's okay, don't. Is like, lets her, she has this huge press conference and Sun's father just sits back and just lets it happen. So, I mean, money does not buy you happiness, apparently.
Or morality.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the choice that she makes to do what she does is flat out, like, in my mind, it feels very immoral. It's very almost selfish that she's trying really hard to hold on to this idea that her mother impressed upon her that's not good for anybody in the whole world and ends up leading to her father's death. And yet, at the same time, she's a fighter and she can, you know, make hard choices when she physically has to, like, pull herself up by her bootstraps. So she's not an immoral person. It's just this one thing, fighting for her, you know, this family connection that makes her make a choice that's so dangerous. It's one of the bigger dichotomies of the sensate that any of the sensates like deal with.
But at the same time, I think one of the things with Van Damme that was tricky was when he gets to the point where he, you know, has been asked to hand over what's his name's dog.
You there, Katie? Okay. You froze up.
Oh no.
And you know,
Nope.
you know, it's did I cut out?
Yeah, you cut out a little bit.
Sorry about that. Anyway, the morality of saving that crime lord over, you know, going through with the street justice of that gang whose, you know, family members have been killed by him. Like, there's something really murky there that I don't know, you know, they didn't really, like, call it out. But that was a questionable.
Yeah, Katie's having some trouble.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the shades of gray, right? So there's, I mean, obviously this little girl doesn't deserve to die, but her father's terrible, but she loves her father. So, you know, there's all these, like, kind of questionable choices. You just end up going with your gut, but it's not necessarily you know, what we would think the right decision is. Or, I mean, like, who in that situation it was pretty impossible. Like, whole, you know, it was like a catch-22.
Yeah. And what's interesting is like, going back to Sun for a second, like, Stephanie and Molly on Twitter, Stephanie and Anna on Twitter say that, like, she promised her mother and like, she made a promise to her dying mother to protect her brother, and that's why she's doing it. But I feel like even if you make a promise to someone who's dying, if that promise is morally corrupt, like, are you expected to keep it? Like, I don't think. I think her mother would have understood if she didn't keep it. You know, I think if her mother was alive, she would have been like, no, he deserves to go to jail, not you. You know. So it's like I don't buy the whole excuse where it's like a promise to a dying mother, because regardless, it's still terrible. You know.
But I think it's, if you look at it like, that was the last person that showed her affection. That was the last person that showed her any love, and so like that's imprinted on her. And so she just, and then, you know, you start to hold your parent, because you know, like she died when she was pretty young, and my mom died when I was very young, and you start to, you know, kind of put them on a pedestal, and you know, you're just like remembering them in a different way. And granted, I didn't make my mom didn't make me promise anything on her deathbed, but I can imagine that if there was something like that, you just kind of, you hold on to that, and so I think like psychologically, it's like, even if you know, in that situation, if somebody said, I think it's okay, she can't accept it. So it's just kind of like that, because her father doesn't love her, and she's just so desperate for,
Yeah, she wants,
you know, for that.
right. She wants her dad's love. Like, I don't know, you do crazy stuff for your family. I mean, I can see why she does what she does.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's right. I can just see where she's coming from, and I do think that Asian culture on these issues are a little different than ours.
That's
Especially
very
having
true.
to do with family and with like honor. I think those things are different than like
Yeah.
how Western culture deals with them.
You make
Yeah.
a really great point there, because like the cool thing about Sensei is that it goes into all of these worldly cultures, and we're just experiencing them as like Americans. So like we're seeing that from the American culture, but I'm sure like people from Korea will watch this show and they see Sun's side and they're like, okay, like that makes sense. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's a really good point.
It's one of my favorite things about the show is how confusing it is when you first start, because you're trying to figure out where they are and who these people are, and why they're interested in the things that they're interested in, or, you know, how you don't crack up at, you know, some of their traditions, like the dancing at the wedding and the coming in on a motorcycle, that are just ridiculous. But I love the idea that hopefully they're doing justice to those cultures and those people when they're showing it.
Yeah. In regards to, sorry, I gotta move out of the sun. I just realized the sun is completely like billowing in my face. I'm just like, hello. Like everything is just. I look heavenly right now. Sun.
The sun's shining when you're talking about sun.
It is. Look at it. Hello, California. I think Sun is just a cautionary tale too. That every choice you make, whether you think, and on Twitter right now, I don't think the choice she made is moral or immoral. She just thought she was doing what was right. And I feel like even this is just a cautionary tale with you right thing, and it will not always go your way. And in the end, I mean, there it is, her brother telling her father died. By the way, was anyone else excited to see her finally kick her brother's ass? I
really thought that she was going to kill him. I thought, how does she not have a couple of like moves to snap his neck?
I was waiting.
Uh-oh. Julie,
I totally accidentally muted you. I'm so sorry. I don't know how I did that. I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's okay.
Are you there?
My room is so shoddy right now, so I'm so sorry. So I'm muting my.
Okay, Julie is at a beach house, so the fact that her internet is total shit right now, we're not really that concerned with her sadness.
She's at a beach house. Come on.
Because her ass is at a beach house right now. And I'm still in my living room, in my pajamas. So, but yeah, I think we're giving Sun a little bit of a hard time. I do think that she's amazing, and I think the choice she makes is really hard. And I agree that it's obviously for the love of her mother, who's the only family she's ever had. But it still is like one of the most damaging choices that any of the sensates make in the whole show.
Well, how about, I thought it was awesome when Van Damme, like when the whole like car chase or bus chase scene, and like the different sensates were kind of helping him out, and I thought that was really awesome. And I liked, because I was wondering how, like, he was going to end up helping somebody else out, and I liked how he ended up driving in San Francisco, which was really cool.
And I like how he just popped in, like,
and I know how,
there. I could drive, you know, and and even like when he was fiddling with the ambulance and hot wiring it or whatever, I was like, hurry up, Van Damme. The whispers are right behind you. Hustle. He's just so happy. He's like the happiest of the sensates.
He really is, though. Like, legitimately, he's just very happy to just exist.
He's the Amy Poehler of the
he's Joy.
Yeah, Joy. I think that's like his role. He's always like that scene in the airplane when he gets on the airplane with Riley and he's like, you're flying, you're above clouds. Like, he's the one who's like always there, like, look where I live and look at what, you know, you have. Look at everything you have. Look how lucky you are.
Yeah.
He like always brings it back to earth that way, and I love. You can't like help but smile at him. He's just like, he's great.
He is awesome. And you feel the most for him. Like, his life is the worst of all of them, objectively. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, he lives in the worst country. First of all, like, everything around him is just like, people don't have anything. All they have are like TVs, you know, and like his mother has AIDS, and like he has to worry about gunmen on his bus route trying to like take all of his money. Like, he lives in the worst place in the world out of all the sensates, and he has to deal with the most shit. And it's amazing that he stays so positive and awesome.
Yeah.
Throughout all of that.
Also, and keep in mind too, my hair was all funky right there. Keep in mind too that his family approached his mother when he was just a child, telling her to kill him. Like, we need him, he's evil, destroy him. And she was like, no, this is my child. You don't talk to my child like that. Was that right? Was that it?
Yeah. What was that about? Did they say that he was, like, his father was evil or something?
Yeah. I think it was because either, and I apologize because I don't remember exactly. It was either his mom was raped. I took that as either his mom was raped by like one of the warring clans or whatever, or she was just married to him or was together, but because he was of that different cult, or I'm sorry, I'm so not up on my African warring. I don't know what they call it.
Tribe, the word you're looking for? Is that
but I don't know. Is it a tribe? Like, you know what I mean?
Faction?
All right. I promise that by next time I'll understand what to call that. Like the warring groups. He's from a different group, Let's
go through all our YA dystopia words that we can
Hogwarts House?
Faction, Hogwarts House. Is he in a different Sassenach? I don't know what to call.
He's in a clan.
Sassenach. That's what it is.
English.
I wasn't hearing that conversation very closely. Sorry. I wasn't hearing their conversation very closely. I couldn't tell what they were saying, and I can't figure out how to close caption on Netflix. So there's a lot of conversations while I'm watching Sense8 that I'm missing, and it really bothers me.
You know what's funny is, although I am thinking off the top of my head, I don't know how to close caption on Netflix, but I do remember seeing it. However, when I watched Community on Yahoo Screen, my closed captioning was on the entire time. No idea how. Kept turning it off, flip back on. Just an aside. So, Netflix, tell us how to turn on closed captioning.
My best friend, going back to the why he was possibly being, or the mother was being told to kill him, he's evil, was my best friend Katie thought it was because the dad was a sensate himself.
Oh. That makes sense.
I don't know. I thought it was just as simple as the tribe was, that being it. And that he would bring bad people to them.
Do all of the sense8s have, like, is it a blood thing? Like, is it someone that they are really like their mothers or their fathers were a sensate? Like, is that a thing? Because like, I know we're not talking about Riley, but like in terms of like that question, Riley, that whole plot thing was confusing. I think that was her mother. I have no idea who the woman that was, but like if that was her mother, she was a sensate. You know, I don't know how that whole thing works.
I don't know, Saeed, which I don't remember his name in the series, but I was like, look,
Jonas.
Saeed.
Jonas. Yeah.
Jonas.
Okay, so he was say, I think didn't he say something like there are creatures or animals out there that can kind of communicate this way, and what if like we unlearned or like through or either they're a different species that have evolved kind of like X-Men, or not different species, but mutant kind of thing, or if we originally communicated that way and they're the only ones left that can do it that way, which I guess would be blood, right? I don't know, genetics, DNA.
I think it probably has a genetic context to it. We just don't know what that is yet. They haven't explained it enough for us to. Julie, you got a friend?
Yeah. Say hi to my mother. Say hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Julie's mom.
Hi, Mom.
I'm on a family. This is a family vacation. So, and there she goes. Okay. There's my creator.
You looked like you were like so embarrassed. You looked like a 15-year-old whose mother came into class, and you're just like, okay, like.
That's basically what happened.
Yeah. You literally just missed corner over here and was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry because I'm like in a place where there's quiet. Apparently, I was echoing where there's quiet, and I'm surprised.
Oh gosh.
That's what they would do.
Oh gosh. Well, at least we weren't talking about cock socks, which is very, very likely that we could have been talking about something really embarrassing, Mrs. Prino. So I'm glad that you didn't come in on that. We were talking about something really erudite, like genetics, blood.
Back to factions.
Back to whether or not. She would actually join the conversation and be like, oh, tell me more.
Back to District 13. I don't know what Capheus' parents were talking about because I don't have closed captioning, but I like the idea that they were talking about them being sensates because I think they were trying to give us little clues into their backstories, which, as many of them have parents who either abandon them or, like, act like they're, crazy or that they're, not right in the head or whatever. Or their parents go crazy. I mean, all of them have got really, seems to me, other than Kala, have got really screwed up families. So I think there could easily be something like that.
Anna points out on Twitter, and now that she says I remember it, so it wasn't her mother that was a sensate. It was like she was from the old cluster, but she just happened to live in the same town.
Yeah, Riley's. Yeah. It's like a mentor or something, or the lady who basically like ruined her life.
So, what I realized is like there's like a cluster. I don't know how many clusters there are, but the fact that like there's Jonas's cluster and like he doesn't seem to have, or like the woman doesn't have the scene. I can't talk. I was comparing them to the water horse, where there can only be one water horse at a time. Do you guys remember that movie? And how there can only be like one sensate cluster at a time. And I'm wondering if that's the case.
Oh gosh. No, when I hear the word water horse, I think about the chapter in Outlander that they didn't put in the show. That's it. That's all I think about.
Which apparently now it's supposed to be a big catfish that they found.
Just so you know, Kyle, in Outlander, the book, I cannot believe we're talking about Outlander during a sensate debate, but there is a chapter where Claire sees the Loch Ness Monster, and it's called the Water Horse, and this guy sees her talking or seeing the monster, and he thinks she's a witch, and then that's kind of what leads to the witch trial.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
When you said water horse, I was like, ping! This little Outlander ping. But yeah, I want to talk about their births a little bit because we got to see everybody's birth story.
Yes.
I could have done without that completely.
It was not realistic enough because I'm going to be honest, during birth, your beehole gets as big as a baseball, and I didn't see any beeholes in those little vagina shots.
My husband had to leave the room. He was like having PTSD. He was like, I had to get out of here. I can't watch this again.
Yeah.
I had PTSD after all of those scenes. I was like,
Real quick, Lindsay, you have kids?
I have 2 kids.
I'm really sorry that I didn't know that.
It's okay.
I'm glad you got kids. Okay,
Yeah.
so anyway, there were no beeholes in these fake vaginas opening up. The rest of it looked pretty right. But blown out beehole is a thing.
It's a thing.
It was gratuitous. Like I don't know. I just felt like it was like shocking to be shocking. Like I didn't need to see that. Like they could have shown their births without like zooming in on the like the baby crowning. Like I never need to see baby crowning.
No.
I don't want to see my own baby crowning
No.
if I ever have one.
No,
Too much vagina for me.
guys, I really liked it.
Ugh.
It was like watching The Miracle of Life in like 5th grade all over again.
but like multiple versions of the Miracle of Life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this is what the Miracle of Life looks like in Kenya. This is what it looks like in Korea.
Like after the first one, I was like, oh my god, we have 7 more.
You had 8 more because we got to see Riley's too.
Yeah. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was tastefully done. And it made me cry. I was crying through the whole thing. And I was like, I need another baby
See,
the whole time.
I don't know. I felt like I agree in that it was gratuitous, and I think Sensei has a problem with gratuitous sex. I think like the very first scene in which you meet Nomi and Amanita, they're having sex, and like that's fine. But like then like she pulls out the dildo and she throws it on the floor and it's all like wet and gross. And I was like, oh no, but like no, I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rabbit though.
I still don't know what that is. I'm Googling it.
Sorry guys, that's an unfair cutback to a
Pre-show.
pre-show comment.
Yeah, we had a pre-show little conversation with Kyle about what a rabbit vibrator was. But, I mean, Katie, Lindsay, did you guys think that, as moms, did you think that the birth was gratuitous, or did you think they were tasteful? Interesting to see. I thought it was interesting to see that. You're not going to see that on, TV normally. And we saw, a lot of them in a row, and I thought it was cool. I would love to know how they filmed those, everything. I thought they were really cool.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I watched Call the Midwife and stuff like that, so which can get even more graphic. But
that's like central to the
personally-
plot in Call the Midwife. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't watch my own kids being born because it was too distracting. But I thought it was well done. I mean, I get where people say that they don't want to watch 9 births. I can see where you're coming from, but I thought it was okay. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah. I liked it. Katie?
I was notorious in my childbirth class for like bursting into hysterical laughter whenever we watched one of these films because it just stresses me out so much. The only way I could cope with it would be like totally inappropriate laughter. So I had a little bit of that happening, which did not set the mood. But I think mostly I was just trying to figure out what the point was. Like, I mean, they do everything for a reason, and I was just, was it that, that song was playing when Riley was born, which is when everybody else would have been being born at the same time? Like, I was trying to, were they trying to establish that kind of, that commonality, that common connection with them and their birth story? So I was more just kind of like trying to not giggle maniacally by trying to figure out what was going on.
Speaking of kids, you have one behind you.
I do.
Like a little Children of the Corn popping up in your video.
Good night, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Right, well, I'll get the exterminator.
Okay, cool. But I don't know. I liked them. I thought that they were obviously establishing their connection. They'd already told us they were all born on the same day. I think they were probably all born at the same time. I think if you went back and looked at it, the ones in the Western Hemisphere were probably during the day. The ones in the Eastern Hemisphere or at night. We get to see where they're born, under what circumstances they're born. I think that's going to play a part in future seasons. Bring it back to tonight. Sun is born in a graveyard. Who was her mother visiting? And
yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, she's not born amongst any family or friends. She's born amongst grave diggers and her mother and tombstones. And Capheus is born in a little hut with 2 women. And I mean, I think that I think if we were to like break them down, there's a lot going on in those scenes. In that way, I don't think it's gratuitous. I think it was important.
Yeah, like that part of it wasn't. I just thought there was it just didn't, for me, it just didn't move the plot anywhere, and it didn't like give clues to see a baby crowning. Like the scene itself was what was the important part, not necessarily.
So they're all born the same day at the same time. Is that what it was? Like to make them sensates? Like they're born at exactly the same time, or just the same day?
It didn't say that it was exactly the same time. It did say it was the same day.
Same day.
That's what I was saying. I bet if we go back and break it down, you'll be able to tell like what time of day each of them are born.
Yeah.
Well, Jonas says at one point that they all take their first breaths together. Like that's something that unites them.
I think how I love Leto's birth and the fact that his mother was giving birth, and there was a telenovela on while she's giving birth, and he comes out and they're like, oh, and there's like cheering. It was great.
That was my favorite one.
A lot of people were in that birthing room. Lots.
Too many.
So,
I think it did move the plot along though, because it's the catalyst for Riley to fall apart, and that's how she gets put in the hospital, and that's when you learn like what sent her there. So I thought it did like serve that purpose.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's really interesting that they're connected in more ways than just whatever the weird like voodoo thing that Daryl Hannah was doing in the first episode, which made no sense. She was giving birth to all of them at once and then killing herself, and I was like, what? I don't know how it relates to her being their mother. I don't know what any of that is, but I do know that it was super interesting the way Sun was born. I thought Leto's birth was really interesting. So, I mean, I think that, Will's birth was super interesting. His dad birthed him in the back of a cop car, like lighting a flare. I mean, these things are really telling about who they are. Like, even the fact that Riley's dad was playing that song, but he wasn't present for her birth is a big deal. So, I like that scene. It was one of my favorite scenes in the whole show, other than scenes that have Hernando in them.
Real quick, it kind of reminded me, and I don't know if everyone here has read it. We read it for book club, the Morning Glories comic, because they're all born on the same day in the comic, like the kids that are sent to this school, and you don't know what purpose and whatnot, but they're like kind of from all over, and they're recruited to this school. And so it kind of had like that similar type of feel to it. And then it reminded me that I should probably catch up on that comic.
There's like 10 volumes of that graphic novel, and I've read 1.
I think I've read 2 of them, but anyways, but my second comment was that it's talking about the same song and it being played. I would be the worst sensate because I would just sing Taylor Swift all day to you guys, and you'd all hate me. Just like everyone's like, why is this in my head again? Thanks, Jamie.
I mean, I'd be down. I'm
like, why am I singing the haters gonna hate all the time?
So, ending question. This is one of the things we can talk about every week, and we'll bring it back into the end of our question. If you could have a sensate, who would you like to be sensates with? Celebrity, good friend, weird person across the globe. Who would you put on your sensate list? Anybody? I have a couple already. They could be fictional.
That's a good question.
So I'm not sure exactly, but it would probably be someone that's constantly having really hot sex. So even if I'm not, I get to experience it. So at least one of the 8 should.
So Kristen Stewart is on your list.
Sure, if I wanted the awkward sex, absolutely.
Oh my god.
I bet she
I
has
get-
sex a lot.
I pick Hernando. That would be my pick.
Yeah. Oh God, I want to be in Hernando's mind. When
All the
Hernando,
time.
we can't talk about it. I can't wait to talk about their first date. Oh my gosh. But I would pick Harry Potter.
That's a good one.
Wouldn't you just want to be in his brain? I mean, I guess you'd be in Voldemort's brain at the same time, but I think that would be a lot of fun. And I'm just spitballing here, but Gwyneth Paltrow.
I mean, to
Okay.
experience the goop.
All right.
Because I think she would make me feel good about my body. When I'm feeling too skinny, she'd be like, no, that is just right. And I'd be like, thank you, Gwyneth. I don't know who else. Somebody else go.
Ooh.
I think I might go with Baz Luhrmann just because his brain is so amazing, and I would love to see a little bit of how that works because I don't get it. But
Oh, I love Moulin Rouge so much. And I have a friend that I was in plays with in high school that was in La Boheme with him in the early 2000s.
Nice.
I would pick somebody like, I love Sandra Bullock. I feel like she's my like sister from another mister. So I would want Sandra Bullock, but I would probably, knowing my luck, I would end up with like somebody like Donald Trump.
Yeah. That'd be so
I don't think that Trump is evolved enough to be a sensate.
That's
So you're
true.
safe.
That is true. That is true.
Amen.
I don't want to be angry at people. I just don't want to.
I think I would pick Jennifer Lawrence because I think we're both ridiculous, and whenever we would order pizza, we'd just be like, "Where's the pizza?" together. Because I've done that numerous times now. I would also pick Chris Pine because, and also Chris Evans.
You can't want to have sex with all the sensates in your cluster.
Oh man!
Come on now.
Why not?
I didn't even pick John Krasinski on purpose.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll say what I said, and then I'll also pick J.K. Rowling because definitely don't want to have sex with her. But I mean, being in her head would be awesome.
I agree with that one. I would want to be sensates with John Krasinski. We're the same age. Katie, you have some kids in your house, honey. That was hilarious.
I think I would want like a musician, like kind of the way that they're all of different, races and creeds and into different things. I think I would like want the like really artistic person to get to experience that, and I don't know, maybe someone who does something kind of like thrill-seeking, just so you can experience that kind of thing.
Definitely somebody like Van Damme who's super happy all the time.
Yeah.
They could sing like Wiggles music at you. Don't you think he would be like a good like kids show host? He's like, "What's up for today, kids?"
But and he probably, because of his happiness and just because he kind of like brings you back down to reality, like when I'm having like a bad day or like depressed or whatever, I'm sure he'd like come along and be like, "Look at this place and you have all this space and
Yeah.
Cats."
that you don't eat for dinner?
Oh. That they're pets. You get to keep pets.
Okay, so things to think about for next week. I want to talk about the whispers a little bit, and if whether or not we think they're sensates, or whether or not they're evolved, or whether they're like anti-sensate and there's some sort of other faction. But you can get into Will's mind and all of their minds. So what's that about?
Ooh.
And next week we're talking about Wolfgang and Kala.
Who's
So
Kala again?
she is the Indian.
Ah, okay.
She's the Indian Jessica Simpson.
Got it. Got it. Ooh,
So
I'm
we're gonna be-
excited.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Wolfgang and Kala next week, and since they're a little couple, we're going to kind of talk about how they get into like a little couple, and where in the world I've seen Wolfgang that isn't gay porn, because he looks like a porn star.
I know which porn star you're thinking about too.
Probably. He looks like one. So,
I think I have the same thought too.
Did
Yeah,
you watch Freefall yet? Have you watched Freefall?
Uh-uh.
Okay, well, that's where he's is gay porn. It's not really gay porn, but it's good. It's German.
Maybe I've just seen some
He's with
gifs
the
on Tumblr.
dude.
It's
and
probably just
you should
Tumblr
see it.
gifs.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably it. And
Yeah.
he was porn, but it's actually a movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight on Sensate Debate. I hope that you came away learning a little bit about at least how we feel about Sun and Capheus. Next week we're going to get super into Wolfgang and Kala and talk about their arcs and their story throughout the season. We're really excited about the show. Really hope it gets renewed for a second season.
Seriously.
It's so much fun. And maybe next week I'll have a blue streak.
Oh, yes, please. I hope so.
I'm growing this out. I'm just growing it out for you, Riley. And I'm going to let my roots go and everything. So anyway.
Beth, you know, I was actually thinking that haircut would look really good on you.
Yeah.
I've already told my stylist that I'm growing my hair out. That was like a month ago. It was pre-sensate. So I am growing it out a little bit. So we'll see. And no one cares about that. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Everybody say good night. Thank you for joining us for Sensate Debate. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye, guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.